Hey everybody, Ryan here at etrailer.com. Today on our 2009 Porsche Cayenne, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Curt Class III 2-inch trailer hitch receiver. Now one thing I really like about this hitch is that for the most part it is completely hidden. Really the only thing you're going to see is a receiver tube. It's going to blend in nicely and help maintain that factory appearance. Now these Cayennes are built to be very versatile vehicles, and that's what's great about this hitch. Say if you're going to use it for a bike rack, it's going to give you plenty of clearance and not have any issues, but it's not going to stick out so far that it's going to be annoying and you might bump your leg into it when you're getting stuff in and out of the hatch. Now some of the Cayenne owners are actually going to plan on doing some light duty towing, and this hitch is going to be good for that too. It has some impressive weight capacities and it's going to be a good all-around choice. The maximum tongue weight rating of our hitch is going to be 600 pounds. That's the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. Now that's a pretty high number, so you should have no problem getting 3, 4, even 5 bikes on the back of your Porsche. Now the maximum gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 6,000 pounds. So the amount of weight that's pulling on our hitch. So that's the weight of your trailer plus anything you might be carrying on it. Now it is always a good idea to check with your owner's manual to make sure your Porsche can pull that much weight. Now something I do want to point out and that you should keep in mind, for all non-trailer loads, Curt does recommend the use of a stabilizing strap. And if you need one of those, you can find it on etrailer.com. Now this is a Class 3 hitch, so it's going to utilize that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening and have a reinforced collar for extra strength. It is going to use and have the standard 5/8 size pinhole, which a pin and clip does not come included, but you can pick one up on etrailer.com. But one of the things I'm not too crazy about is how the safety chain openings are. They're kind of tucked back a little bit and hard to get to, but they do offer just enough room to use just about any size hook. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements. You're going to use these to determine which hitch mounted accessories to use. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening is about 18.5 inches. You're going to use that to figure out whether you need to get a ball mount with either a drop or a rise. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, that's about 2 inches. You're going to use that measurement to figure out if any folding accessories you might have can be stored in the upright position without contacting the bumper. Now some of our customers said they had a little bit of trouble with the installation, such as the trimming and a couple of other things. We're going to go over all that information during our install. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do that together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be working in our wheel wells. We'll start on the driver's side first. Now in the wheel well, we're going to have 4 T25 torque spit screws that we're going to have to remove. 3 along the edge, and then 1 on the side. Right here at where the bumper meets the fender, we're going to pull our wheel well down a little bit, and then there will actually be a T25 screw in there that we'll have to take out. Now we're going to need to remove our tail lights. To do that, you just open up your hatch, and on the side of your lights you're going to notice 2 small circles. Now these are actually caps that we're going to have to pop off to expose the fastener beneath. So I'm using a pick to do that. You can just use a flathead screwdriver too. Kind of pry underneath there, just pull out like that. Now beneath it is going to be a 5mm hex head bolt. And just pop those out. Now with both of our screws removed, our light is loose. What I did, I actually just used some painter's tape just to help protect our paint from this light bouncing around. Now to get it out, there's going to be a little ball and socket that is actually keeping the lens connected. So you're going to have to wiggle it and pull outward on it. And another technique, what you can do is just take the palm of your hand, kind of hold the light in place. And get it to pop out like that. This is what the ball and socket looks like. So with the light free, we need to disconnect it. So to undo our plug, just going to use a pair of needle nose, or you could use a flathead or anything that'll fit down in this gap. And you just lightly push up and back on it and separate the connector. Do the same thing on the other side. Now in each tail light pocket, we're going to have to remove 2 T25 screws. Now underneath our car, on each side, we're going to have 4 T25 screws that we're going to have to take off, and that'll let us remove this small panel. And just set it off to the side. And then along the whole bottom of our bumper, we're going to have 6 T30 Torx bit screws. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to pull our fascia off. Now what we're going to do is actually grab it and slide it towards the back of the vehicle, just like this. Now you might have some electrical connectors like we do here, so we'll go ahead and remove them to get our bumper completely off. This will work the same as our tail lights. Now we'll set the bumper aside somewhere safe so it doesn't get damaged. Now with our fascia out of the way, we can actually remove our metal bumper beam. Now it's going to be held in place on each side with 4 18mm bolts, 2 up top and 2 down below. Now what I like to do is completely remove 3 of them and leave this one just hand tight. That way the bumper will support itself and it'll be easier to take off. Now we can support the bumper with our hands and remove those 2 bolts that we left in hand tight. Pull it off of the car and set it off to the side. Before we put our hitch into place, I like to point out the hardware that we're going to use to secure it. Now our hitch is going to sit here where our bumper used to. We're going to secure it using a bolt, a split lock washer, and a flat washer. That's going to be the same setup for all 8 holes. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to put our hitch in place, line up the holes, and get a bolt started. Now you're going to want to get 1 bolt on each side started. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on putting the rest of the hardware in. With all of our hardware in place, we can go ahead and snug it down. Now I personally like to do this by hand and work each bolt in a little bit at a time to help draw that hitch in evenly. Now with all of our bolts snug, you can use a torque wrench to torque everything down. Now you can find that torque specification in your instructions. Now we're going to remove the foam pad that's on our original bumper and transfer it over to our hitch. Now you don't have to do this step if you choose not to. However, we're going to opt to show you how to do it. Now to get this foam piece off, you can peel it back, and it's actually glued on in a few spots. So I'm just going to use a knife, kind of cut that glue. So I took my foam pad and centered it and pushed it on top of our hitch and is back as far as it will go. Now we are going to have to trim it up a little bit, and I'm just going to cut off these overhanging pieces, and that should do the trick. Now before we put our fascia back on, we will have to trim it a little bit to clear our hitch. And so what I did was I held our fascia up in place and just kind of eyeballed it to see where we needed to cut. Now this is what I came up with. On the bottom side of our hole, I'm actually going to come down straight from the edge where it meets the black plastic and remove this whole small section out right there. And then on the top, what I did was I measured from here to here and found the center. And then I went 1.75 inches on each side. So from here to here, that's going to be a 3.5 inch space. And then I went up about 1 inch, kind of followed this body line in the plastic. Now, what I like to do is always cut less because we can always take more off if we need to. Now I'm going to make these cuts using a rotary tool, but however, this plastic is fairly thin, so you might be able to use some tin snips or even a really sharp knife. I went ahead and made that original cut, test fit it, and found that I actually need a little bit of extra. So I just added a 1/2 inch to the top, and I'll cut that out and make sure it fits. Now with an extra set of hands, we can put our fascia in place. We're gonna kind of have to work our hitch over the hole that we cut. And plug our electrical connector back in. With our fascia lined up and pushed into place, we can re-secure it with all of our fasteners that we removed earlier. And that'll do it for our look at and installation of the Curt Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2009 Porsche Cayenne.